Hello! This video is the first one I'm making about this painting, which has just been completed. Not to my satisfaction, but it is completed and I want to see the back of it. Thank you very much. I would like to talk to you about two aspects of it. One was the technical thing of doing it, and the second one will be about what it's about. Okay. I've made some notes about this because there's a lot to say about it, and it's you can tell by my tone that I'm not exactly over the moon about this one at all. And if you hear any of this, it's because I'm wearing gloves, so you can't see my gnarly hands. Anyway, right, I don't know what's gone wrong with me of late. It's fine to try something different, but my trying something different has entailed me making the most colossal cock-ups that I've ever made, ever, in my whole painting history, however long that is. Yeah, a long time. So, since I was 15 or something. Anyway, and I'm now a lot older than that. So, yeah, I have to say that the mistakes that I've made are generally because I have no common sense to speak of, and other people who have been painting as long as me would have had more sense in their head than to do some of the things that I have done. Although some of the things that I have done with this is because I've been panicking, and I'm telling you about it because hopefully somebody out there will learn something from my mistakes, of which there have been many. Yes, so when I was at art college many moons ago, nobody ever told me, they didn't tell me a lot really, nor at school, nobody ever said don't mix your media. In fact, mixed media was kind of like a buzzword thing. Yeah, be careful what media you mix, and certain things do not mix with other things would have been really helpful, but nobody mentioned that, and I have had to, because of my lack of common sense, have done things that have been really idiotic in mixing my media. And one thing they did tell me about was the beauty and elegance of a perfectly formed letter, but we'll come back to that in a bit. And they also told me, and turn away or block your ears if you're easily offended, but they said if something isn't shit hot, their words, then don't bother. Get rid of it. So I've used that as my sort of maxim for my work, and this is not shit hot, and it offends me greatly in many ways, but it had to be finished because once I start something I will not give up. If I've spent weeks and weeks and months and put so much into it and parts of it are good, then I will do virtually anything to bring it back to some sort of standard. It'll never be the standard that I wanted in the first place, but that's because of my mistakes. Okay, what mistakes did I make? If I do sort of be a bit distracted, it's because I am having to refer to the notes a tad. The thing that cost me most with this, as it has with the last couple of paintings that I've done, caused me endless amounts of stress and effort that did not need to be made, was I went back to using the metallic pigment. It's so nice. I'm not doing product placement here, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about roughly without showing you the label or the name of it or anything else. But little pots of mica metallic pigment like this, I thought you could just mix and paint with. Two things I have learned with that. One, it does not want to be mixed with anything else. And two, you can come back the next day and it's virtually faded into oblivion, which means you've got to go over it again and you make more of a mess because it's messy. I mean, it's so messy. All my poor plants are covered with it. Everything's covered with it. The floor's covered with it. It just goes everywhere. And my lungs must be coated with glittering fragments of mica, which is charming. Anyway, maybe that's my penance for having used it, because it's dug up or pulled from the ground by poor children in India and places. So good grief. Anyway, digress. Yes, so that's the that's how I started off with this. I started off using that stuff, But before that, before I even started off using that stuff, I decided to recycle things that were in the house because I was not going out. I like to buy things from actual shops when I do go out, and so I thought, no, let's use what you've got. And I ended up using a piece of cardboard that had creases in it. Yeah, and recycling an old frame and mount, which were also not, had seen better days. So I started off from the basis of not having the best quality background, and was always having to contend with the fact that the paint would show up lines and bumps and creases and never be completely smooth. So that was, then I started to use that metallic stuff, which is so messy. And then I realised that I couldn't do that. So how was I going to rectify the fact that this looked very different. This bit over here has always looked pretty much the same. We'll look at it in detail later, either in this video or the next one. That bit's always looked pretty much the same, but this bit over here, that's where the hair was all with the metallic pigment, and that the metallic pigment is what you can see around. Sorry, the light shining on it. Again, I have a problem videoing it because the light shines off it, which is all very beautiful and well, but it doesn't give you any sort of sense of colour or anything because it just looks reflective. Anyway, so the figure here, which is me, the hair had all been done in that, and then I realised that it couldn't be done in that, so I tried to paint over it, and it was a disaster. I have used... Right, where has it gone? Right, I'm not going to show you the brand or anything else. So, pearlescent acrylic paint. Another type of acrylic paint with pearlescent in it. Pearlescent, that we come back to that one. That's the last thing that I did. No, it wasn't. Pearlescent ink. Yeah, I tried going over it, and then it just went into a kind of brown sludge in the end. It was horrific. I was so so upset. But it's my fault. I screwed it up. So basically I had to scrape all that hair off, and I don't know how you pronounce this, but I'm going to go with, I'm just showing you a white pot. I had to gesso, I had to do that all over the hair, knowing full well that whatever I did next was never going to look how it should have done in the beginning, because I was just working on a big white patch that didn't blend in with the rest of it. What was I going to use? So then I made the mistake of going back to this pearlescent ink. Yeah. I don't know whether you can see, probably not, but pearlescent ink separates out into the bottom bit being more full of glittery bits and the top bit being sort of purer ink. Top bit is okay to use as long as it's got no glittery bits in. As soon as it's got the pearlescent sparkle whatever in it, it pushes away any other colour. So on the blue, which used to be black but had to be blue because of the mess I'd made, the blue here, this is what I'm talking about, the kind of cloak thing that is being worn. When that met the pearlescent ink, they parted, and all the pearlescent kind of bunched up into a big white clump. It was horrifying. So I had to do the whole scraping off again, and I'm working on this. It's a piece of cardboard. It can only take so much scraping off. So I knew the next thing that I had to do had to be, right. And I didn't have the tools to make it right, because I wanted that hair to be really fiery. It's meant to represent, sorry, I should have said this in the beginning. This painting is called Becoming Winter. So it's meant to being autumn becoming winter. We'll go into that in the meaning of the work anyway. So the hair had to be really fiery. I didn't have the things to do to make it look fiery. All I had was a big white gessoed lump on top of the hair, and a problem because I didn't have anything else I tried all the things I had. So I eventually ended up getting some ordinary acrylic ink and some fluorescent acrylic ink and trying to build up gradually with those, but it was never ever going to work as well. And it's still, the blooming pearlescent somehow had stayed in here somewhere, I don't know how. So when I was trying to go over it with the ink, the pearlescent problem was still, it kind of creeps away from, it makes a white film and creeps away from any other kind of ink. It is really horrible stuff. I mean, I'm sure it's very beautiful if you use it like a sensible person, but for me, it was probably one of the worst things I've ever used. I had no idea. How would you know that it's going to not like anything else being... You couldn't even put it near it. You couldn't even have the blue and then put the red near it, because it would just creep away. It would retreat in this white line. It's horrible. Horrible, horrible. Anyway, yeah, trying to paint over anything with metallic, or like, this is all metallic. Trying to paint anything over metallic, or the mica pigment or the pearlescent pigment, was all totally, oh, I can't tell you, just awful. I can't even imagine how I got it back to this level, and it's nowhere near what it should be. It really is not. Oh, sorry, I've sat on my foot and it's gone a bit dead. So yes, the amount of different variations of things. I mean, there's the sky was with matte. Why do I show you that? You don't need to see that. The sky was matte black acrylic, and there's normal drawing ink in there, and there's the mica, and there's oh, good grief. Anyway, and there's also, because the only thing that would work in the end to go over the leaves, which had been obliterated by the gesso and the scraping and everything, the only thing that would go over that would be this kind of pen. Where are you? That kind of pen. I had to use an ink and gradually build it up, and I'd come back the next day and that had kind of faded away too, because anything you paint over metallic and the sparkly pigment, everything, it just fades off, it just disappears, it doesn't want to be there. Maybe it was just me, I don't know, but that's what happened. So word of warning, when you're using these tools, they don't blend and they don't want to be painted over. If that helps anybody, I'm glad, because this has just been an absolute horror to me, you know, really has. But I did not give in, you know, that Winston Churchill often quoted never give in, never give in, never give in thing. I had it in my head. I was not going to give in, because I liked bits of this painting. I like this bit of the painting in the background. I did that first, and I was not going to lose this just because I screwed up because of my own stupidity. And I like the trees. I like the birch trees, the lovely birch trees. I liked the moon. I actually liked the face as well. But so I had to. I was not going to. And the crow. I was not going to give in to the fact that I'd made such a mess, and it will just never look like I wanted it to. But if I go close as it will allow me, and hopefully the shine, because it's so shiny now, it's ridiculously shiny. I've managed to get some detailing back into the hair. It was completely devoid of detail at one point. It looked quite good with the metallic, the pearlescent ink, and then I came back and it had all separated out again. So I've got as much detail in the hair as I can. It's very shiny, isn't it? So you can hardly tilt. Yeah, there's as much in there, but nowhere near as much detail as I wanted. I wanted each individual hair to be defined, and it is to some degree. I wish you could see it a bit better. I'll just move it about. See, does that help? There, you can see a bit. See the side. I have done my best. It's not a very good best, but I have done my best to resurrect something that was literally fit for the bin. It's up to you to decide whether it still is. I don't know, really. I'm never going to be happy, but I'm very seldom happy with any. I don't really look at any of my paintings because there's always things you could have done better, but with this one, I could have done things a lot better. Anyway. So there's one of the leaves that I went over. And they look quite nice and vibrant now. They've got that blue sort of luminescent glow of life around them. That's all the mica pigment going up there. Let me just put it up straight again. Right. So you can see that. That's how I've done that. But the hair was meant to be much more subtle. It wasn't meant to be this great shiny thing on the head as it is. But you know, it is as it is, and it is, you know, it is very vibrant now, and it does resemble hair to some degree. It's just that I didn't want it to look like that. I wanted it to be much more subtle and floating off. But it is what it is. So what else can I tell you about this? Oh yes, this was given to me by, this is chocolate. This is where I got the idea from. It doesn't look anything like it, does it? Oh, I wish it did, but that's conscious chocolate. I'm product placement, sorry, that's not about that. It's about this lovely kind of starry, silhouette-y thing that I had. We are quite starry, and you know, there are parts of this, as I say, that I do like, and unfortunately you can't see them very well because it's so shiny. You can see the camera reflected in it. But there's a rainbow circle around the moon, which I'm pleased with, and the birch trees I'm pleased with, and down here you have a little stand of beech on the hill, which is one of my sort of signature things, and a tiny, I'm not going to be able to get any closer to that fox, but there is a tiny fox running up a ploughed field towards the hill. I just hold it steady there for a bit. I can't get any closer because he'll just become a blur. I managed to get the birch trees to look like birch trees and not like my last painting where they did not resemble silver birch at all, but these do. So at least I put that right. I have improved on that, and I am pleased with them. And the, oh look, you can actually see some of the rainbow circle. That's good, that's nice. Well, I can. Whether it comes out that way when it's actually on the video, I don't know, but there you go. You can see the colours, the rainbow. So some bits of it were worth saving, really. Yeah, well, it seems that way to me anyway. I did like that. And I liked the design of it. But I just don't like the fact that it didn't come out how it was in my head because of the stupidity. Anyway, I think I've established that fact. Also, the face, which I could have worked into a lot more. It's the same, quite, if I put it like that, it looks all warped. There's a lot of subtle colour in there that it's just not picking up. The camera is not picking up. There's a lot of sort of metallic blue and deep purple and slate grey and all sorts of colours in there. You're not going to be able to see it. It's probably better if it's back there, actually. I couldn't work into the face anymore because I'd done half of the face. The white is ink. Then there was watercolour pencil and crayon, and then I couldn't work into it anymore because when I tried, all the ink started to come off. And I thought, I can't cope with another cock-up. So I just left it as that, which is not really how I wanted it to be, but there we are. I'll go into more about the meaning of that later. I'm just talking about the technicality. I'll have to shut up in a minute. Finally, my final mess, as it were, was deciding to put words on the frame. We've got Becoming Winter, which is the title, Wild Edge Walker at the top. We have Haunting Shadow at the side and Ghosting Land at the other side. We'll try and look at that a bit closer in the next video because I can't believe I've just spoken for nearly 19 minutes on balderdash, really. Yes, so Becoming Winter is the title. I wish I had not put these words on the side. I like to combine words and art together because that's both of the things that I do, language and art. I like to do that. I wish I had not because there was so much tension involved. I did not want to screw this up, and of course I did because I was too tense and too edgy, literally, about getting it right, and so it isn't right at all. I spent ages on that lettering trying to make it beautiful, remembering the words of my art tutor that letters can be elegant and beautiful and creating my own sort of way of doing it, and yeah, I will never be happy with that. It's not perfect enough. I have got such stringent rules about how good it should be, and that is not good enough. However, it is adequate. It is not horrendous. It will do, but that's not really my standard. It will do, but hey, it can't be done again. That's what it is. Right, in the next video I will talk more about what it's about and look at a bit more detail if possible. Okay, shutting up, going away. Thanks for joining me. Lots of love.